wanted to do a Chibson update. This is 2021. People are still buying and improving these guitars, or buying them and finding out that they're flawed, finding flaws, making videos out of them. And I wanted to talk about my three Chibsons, which you see there. First, I'm a semi-pro musician. I get paid money to go on stages and perform music. So I'm no stranger to having quality instruments. I play Stratocasters. Those are my stage guitars. American Standard on the left, and then two American Deluxe Stratocasters. All have been wired by me with vintage pickup arrays by me, blender pots, things that I need on stage to produce the sound that I need. There's actually my stage rig right there. And I'm a Strat guy. There's a couple more of them. I've actually sold a couple of Strats over the years. These are all American Stratocasters, by the way. Well, I would say that the red one, Jimmy Vaughn Strat, made in Mexico, but I've upgraded it heavily. It's just a phenomenal guitar. Amazing guitar. And then my 78 American Stratocaster, owned by Michael Stanley of the Michael Stanley Band. But anyway, so I know a little bit about a good quality instrument. I keep guitars that inspire me to play. I don't just have guitars to have a guitar. So this is where my collection is today. But getting back to the Chibsons, about 5 years ago, when I found out about this whole Chibson deal, I wanted a Black Beauty, because back a long time ago, I had a Black Beauty copy, Japanese copy, for a little while. I don't know what I did with it. I obviously sold it to someone, but it was a really beautiful guitar. I wish I still had it. I think it was a Crestline. So I don't know if it's any good, if it would be any good in today's standards. I don't know. But I wanted to kind of recapture that, because I always thought it was such a beautiful guitar. So when I found about this whole Chibson thing, I was like, man, $250, ordered it, and I was really pleasantly surprised at how nice this guitar was for $250. Looking up at the tuners, I didn't have to replace the tuners. They're smooth, they hold tune. The tuners aren't sitting there bending or going out of tune. They hold tune, they're smooth to operate, perfectly fine. I replaced the nut with a Graph Tech. I put a JB and a Jazz in it, which I had. Replaced the bridge, replaced the pots. Value, how much I have into it, I don't know. But the action is incredibly low. The fretwork was great. I really enjoyed this guitar. Is it perfect? No. It actually has a couple of imperfections. If this were out in the sunlight, you would see that they probably could have spent a little more time sanding the body. There were just a few imperfections. Nothing major. Really nothing major at all. And so with that, about a year later, I found this one. I was still curious. I found this one on one of the AliExpress sites for $220. I'm like, I've always wanted a Flying V, and here they had one that was a Black Beauty custom Flying V. And at that point, I got online and found out that Gibson, they made this. This guitar was, right now, I think they're still available for about $6,000. So Gibson Custom has basically all their famous guitars in what they call the Black Beauty Custom Black and Gold. They're $6,000 a piece. So anyway, I wanted that real bad, and I ordered it, and it came. I immediately ordered a JB for it. I just put a GFS Fat Pack in there. I got a $35 pickup. Did the pots, did new wire, phenomenal player. The tuners sucked real bad. Replaced those for $35-40. I don't know, Goda knockoff, Godas. Nothing major. I did a graph nut. Love the slim tapers. So this is a slimmer neck than the Les Paul. And just love the feel of it. Very much closer to the Stratocasters that I play. And so this actually, this guitar was fun to play. But, I'm a Strat guy, so I didn't put a lot of time playing that guitar. This one became a guitar that I tended to, when I wasn't practicing or doing work with my band, it was always, I wanted to pick it up, I wanted to play it, I wanted to play it through my Marshalls, which are, these are DSL 40s. There's phenomenal amps, but they're just fun. And I don't play on stage with these things, but I do enjoy my metal crunch. And what I found I really enjoyed was plugging the Flying V into those amps. It plays great. It sounds great. It wasn't perfect. There was a huge paint defect right over here where you could tell like they did something wrong, and they're trying to fix it. And there's just a big paint drip bubble in here. It kind of looked like hell. And oh, man. Okay, well, I enjoyed it. So what I did, I found a YouTube that how to fix those things. And took drywall compound, joint compound, and kind of covered the whole area up. And started sanding and down through the drip, through the bubble, and the compound protected the rest of the paint there. And then once that was pretty much removed, I could wipe the compound off and then polish it out. Really changed, just changed the psyche for me. It wasn't such a poor job. So, expect defects on these things. I see videos where these people will rip these things apart. So you're going to take a $6,000 guitar, copy it, bootleg it, and buy it for $220 and expect it to be perfect, just like the $6,000. Well, realistically, you're not going to get a $6,000 guitar for $220. There are probably, you might get lucky, there might not be anything wrong. It may be perfect copy of it, but you just overlook it. The idea is when you have a guitar, does it sound good? Does it play well? Does it inspire you to play guitar, create music, enjoy music? And that one fits the bill. Even more than this guitar. even more than, although this guitar plays, it sounds great, it just, it's heavy. I'm just not a Les Paul guy. How many Les Pauls have I owned? I've owned two. I own two Norland era Les Pauls, and I wish I still had them, but just, life, you go from one thing to another, and so it's nice to have a Les Paul back in the fold, but not a Les Paul guy. All right. Recently, out of pure curiosity, I came across this. They're making a copy of the Black Beauty Explorer. Never had an Explorer. Really never thought about having one. My main desire for this guitar is to kind of match up and have that look. Keep in mind, I play these guitars. They're wonderful. They sound great. They play great. This one, you know what? $350 or $330 delivered home from China. And it's pretty amazing. So I bought it. The tuners are very adequate. They sound great. I haven't replaced the nut yet. It is in inventory. Replacing the nut is a little fiddly. Haven't gotten to it. The nut seems quite fine. Went with the JB and a fat pad for the pickups. Replaced the bridge, replaced the pots and the wiring, and plays phenomenally. I mean, just the intonation, and that goes for the Flying V also, and the Les Paul. I mean, I put these in the hands of friends of mine that are players that have played Gibsons their whole lives, and they're just blown away that I found them. Got them into the United States, and they're holding a guitar that's $200 or $300 and just rocking. Absolutely love these guitars. This one, the big defect on this one, I mean, the finish, and none of these have required any fretwork, none whatsoever. No leveling. Look, this one's never been polished. I don't know if you can. So 5 years old, the frets still look great. The big issue with this one is actually kind of stupid. It's actually kind of funny, because for me, when I first saw it, I go, well, how did they miss that? Well, it's a $330 copy of a $6,000 guitar that looks great, plays great. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It just is ridiculous. But the fret dot markers, look at this. So that one, and then up a little more. Oh, down a little. Oh, we didn't get that right. So one's a little higher than the other. And they're little teeny tiny dots. So I saw that and I go, well, that was kind of bogus. But in the grand scheme of things, to fix that, I've already figured out how I'm going to fix it and make it look right. They're teeny tiny dots, which I don't care for. The side markers are kind of important to me, especially on this guitar. Seems to play, sit best and play best when, you're seeing it from the top of the fret markers. Okay, so they're kind of important, but it'll be pretty simple. I'll order some fret dot dowels and drill these out to the larger size and then even everything out. It'll take a little bit of work, whatever. It's a $330 guitar. I'm not expecting absolute perfection, but the idea is that I pick these up, I plug them into those Marshalls, and they sound great, they play great, they inspire me to play guitar as a musician. So, with all that being said, haters hate. You have the right to. You know, these are bootleg guitars. They're not replicas. You can call them replicas, but they copied these guitars, made them, shipped them out cheap. They're here for my enjoyment, my pleasure to play, and to look at. And so, with that being said, we all know what these things are about. There are bad ones that come in, and I don't think, it just doesn't make sense to pay $200 or $220 for a copy, a bootlegged copy of a guitar that is so very close to the original, and beat up on it because the logo is off a little. Yeah, the logo is off a little. It's not a Gibson guitar, or you found a paint defect or something like. Of course, you're not going to get a $6,000 guitar for 220, 250 bucks. It's not possible. Shouldn't freak out about it. You can do it to hate on it. It still doesn't. You know what? I got to go back. When I bought this guitar, I was so impressed with it. I was telling the luthier at Guitar Center about it. And he like didn't believe me. And he goes, man, because I knew him. I talked to him a lot about guitars. Like I say, I'm a guitar player. I get paid to play guitar. We'd have good conversations. So he goes, bring it in. Brought it in, and he shook his head, and he goes, I would play that on stage. And he did. I mean, not that guitar, but he's a musician. He goes, I'd have no problem playing this guitar on stage. That day I was there, not only did they have the real one up on the shelf that I had to play, but at that time they also had the Epiphone Black Beauty. So I had two guitars, the two guitars that you could compare to pull off the shelf and play. Pulled the Epiphone off and just didn't like the feel of it. It all comes to, what does the neck feel like in your hands? And I didn't care for the Epiphone neck. It was different. It was just different compared to this one and the one and the actual Gibson. But if I own the Epiphone one, I wouldn't be kicking on that Epiphone. It was just different. It seemed pretty vastly different in feel between this one and the Gibson. Pulled the Gibson off the shelf, and the Gibson felt like at the time it was $5,000. You could look down when you held it, and you look down. Just the side profile, the richness of the ebony, you could just tell that it was the real thing. Not to say that this sucks. It's just there is a difference between the neck on the $5,000 Gibson Black Beauty and this one. It just, that's all there is to it. It was better, but when you look, when I compared it to what I had for $250 and some upgrades and a little bit of work and things like that, Um, I left so much more happy with my purchase uh, than I came in. And so, am I recommending to do this? No, this is America. You can buy these things. There's nothing illegal about it. It might be a little immoral. There are many immoral things that happen that aren't great. I'm not complete. Oh, and I will say this: uh, if Epiphone made this guitar, and maybe they have, I don't think they have. They do make a deluxe version of a Flying V with the binding, complete binding, the rectangular inlays. But if they made this in the gold, I would have bought it. I would have bought it. But they didn't. And so I kind of, I wanted that. I wanted the gold, the Black Beauty stuff. And same with this. I know that Epiphone now makes a deluxe version of these Explorers. I think the one I saw was kind of a silver with a black kind of a trim, fade, whatever. Kind of a nice looking guitar, but I wanted this. And so I wouldn't, if Epiphone made these, because why? Because Epiphone headstocks look like what a Flying V is supposed to look like. That's what their headstock looks like. And same with the headstock on the Explorer. It says Epiphone. I don't really care if it said Epiphone, but they don't make that. So that's kind of why I ended up with these, because I love that look. That's what I want. Guitars play great. They sound great. They inspire me as a musician. And, that is the story behind that.